Hi, this is Jayson, author of the Unique series, and with me today is the CEO and President of GLC Communications. They are the ones responsible for the product Telavi Cloud. This is Mr. Erwin Ko. Hello, Erwin Ko. How are you, and how is GLC Communications?
Hello, Jason. Thank you for having me today. Yeah, so in Gorilla V, we have been a lot of our employees continue to work in the office, but some of us are have been working from home ever since the start of this lockdown. This past few months, we've been very busy developing new solutions, new products that can help companies in their business continuity plans.
Talking about business continuity plan, can you tell us more about how it works?
Yeah, so I think a lot of companies are not prepared for this pandemic. So when we first went into lockdown last March 2020, people thought that they'd go on a vacation, a quick vacation, and then after a month or two they'd all come back to work. But obviously, hindsight is always 2020, and we all know that's not the case, right? So I think to define BCP, basically business continuity plan is a set of carefully crafted policies and procedures to help a company address any potential threat, which can lead to business closures or business interruptions. And now that COVID cases are increasing exponentially, I think it is important for companies to have a BCP in place to ensure that they are able to remain operational during these times of crisis. Normally these BCPs are tailor fitted to each company, helping them save money or at least lose less money while looking after the safety of their employees.
How does a lack of business continuity plan affect an organization?
I think without a BCP, companies would be susceptible to financial losses. So definitely, companies are established for profit. No, generally you want to create value, and without this kind of kumbaga chain, like to create value for your shareholders, you need to be able to sell. If you're not able to sell, you won't be able to generate profits, and it just dominoes over, and yung effect nun sunod-sunod na eh. So without a BCP, if you're not able to serve your customers by providing them good quality service, you're not going to be able to have these customers come back to you for a repeat sale. And then without that, you lose value. So definitely, without a BCP, without a clear plan, companies would definitely, are more susceptible to financial losses.
Thank you for that very clear explanation of what a BCP is. I guess this would help companies understand the need to put one in place.
Correct. That's right. So there's really no choice but to have more and more backup plans in place, no? And for companies to think of what is potentially around the corner. So basically, they have to always have backup plans in place.
What is the risk of not having a BCP in place?
I think shareholders are definitely going to be affected. Or maybe a right term would be all stakeholders will be affected. So let's start with the customers. Without a BCP for a company, customers who call the company might not be able to reach the right person, whether that's a sales inquiry or a request for support. Without a BCP plan, these customers won't be able to reach the right person. Company might also suffer from stoppages in their supply chain. So without the BCP, manufacturing might stop, your ordering process might stop, your shipment might not arrive on time, and you won't be able to. It will affect the company's ability to provide quality customer service. So without the right tools, employees might not be able to work and perform their duties efficiently.
In a time when there's so much uncertainty, how can we be a more adaptable company and having a BCP in place?
I think pre-pandemic, companies have a lot of elbow room to make more mistakes. So during that time, profits are up, sales are up. So eventually, if you don't have so much, there's really not much, potential threat that can disrupt your business. So everything is okay. But nowadays, people or companies really have to adapt quickly. Otherwise, they are not going to be equipped to respond to any disastrous situation in case the situation presents itself, no? And this could potentially affect the company's productivity as a whole.
Given that, what makes a good business continuity plan?
To have a good business continuity plan, the first step would be to operate the business like the crisis never happened. That's the first objective. A good plan should help a company mitigate or reduce the impact of any threat. What good is a plan if it doesn't really help in terms of mitigating all these risks? No? So the best case scenario is really that a company is able to continue its operations and create value for its shareholders. So a couple of ways for a company to check whether their BCPs are in place or what is important would be to ask questions like, can your business operate without, say, electricity? If the answer is no, you probably have a backup generator in place. Can you operate if there's flood? If the answer is no, you probably serve your customers from multiple warehouses, so you're not really dependent on one. As for handling voice calls, can your business continue to operate without landline calls? So some will say yes because they communicate with their customers through mobile phones, but some will say landline calls are very important to their operation. So the first step would really be to determine what the company's non-negotiables are. From there, it's just a matter of creating backup plans to those that you cannot live without.
Well, I guess among the things that you mentioned, two things stand out for me. So the first one would be starting all over again as if the pandemic didn't happen. And what are the not the essentials, the core to the business, like building a house, no? Kumbaga, dapat yung foundations tama siya and the foundations are really strong. So that's what a BCP does for companies. I'm just curious, how are you able to foresee creating a product like Tel Aviv Cloud pre-pandemic?
So pre-pandemic, GLC has been in the business of supplying and installing PABX. So we serve a lot of industries, we serve a lot of companies. And we've always dreamt of offering a cloud-based PBX. We've always wanted to offer something that is available to more people, to make it more affordable, to make it more widespread. No, but I think at that time the market wasn't ready. People were hesitant because they thought their internet connections were not stable or strong enough to handle voice traffic. So people would say, "Hey, if I move my telephony to the cloud, baka naman wala akong internet, wala na akong telephone. How can I run my business?" So instead of nakatulong, napasama pa sa kanya. So, but I think times have changed. I mean, with this, where we are today, we've been doing video conferencing every day for the last 1 year, right? So I think companies are now open to the idea. So, so we've had those aspirations, but what really triggered us to move forward with this was at the start of the pandemic, there was a significant spike in inquiries for a hosted PBX, cloud PBX. So companies were really asking for it or looking for alternatives already. So you know that they are suffering. You know that they are having challenges in their operation. And when we saw that most companies were asking their employees to stay at home and work from home, we knew that there would be a need for this kind of solution.
We've heard of this term, storm proof, and it's cliche, but it never gets old. For you, sir, how do you think companies can have a storm proof business?
So to storm-proof your business, you really have to address your issues or kung nasaan yung mga potential points of failure. So one way is to not have any single point of failure. Traditionally, when we look at companies, they normally own and operate their own infrastructure. But I think nowadays there are so many alternatives. So let's take email, for example. Today, you don't have to put up your mail server. You can easily go to the likes of Microsoft or Google, and you can just subscribe to their email service, right? So with that, you don't have to worry about running all the servers, backing it up, creating redundant hardware infrastructure. They'll take care of it for you na. So sila na bahala sa lahat ng yon. So um, I think that's something that is relevant for people now. No, so with this particular in this same train of thought, this is how Telavi is coming to the market. So we're offering the market and companies the alternative for their voice telephony. So instead of having one PABX in the office, where a single point of failure can potentially break down your communication avenues to your customers, we now move or offer them the option to subscribe to Telavi Cloud, where we have redundant servers, multiple servers running on high available or configuration that they can rely on. So this is something that is telco grade that we are offering to the market.
Moving to Telavi Cloud, why do companies need your services?
Companies are primarily set up to accomplish a few objectives. So primarily, generally, these are for profit and creating values for their shareholders. So to be able to generate revenue or value, you have to be able to sell, to create profit. But normally to do that, to keep on growing your sales, you need to provide your customers exemplary or excellent customer service. But the problem with this pandemic, with this ever-changing quarantine measures, it is really very difficult for companies to operate like they used to. It's hard for them to operate at 100% efficiency. So because of this, they will miss sales opportunities. They will miss the chance to or to the they will miss the possibility of addressing their customers' concern, which eventually leads to potential customer churn. So, of course, it's very hard to find new business, and yet you're gonna lose customers, no? So, you don't want to be down that road, no? That's not really a good spiral. That's gonna mas mahirap lumabas doon. So Telavi Cloud is actually a unified communication platform that enables its users to make and receive calls wherever they are. So Telavi Cloud gives the companies the ability to transfer landline calls to employees, whether these calls are to the Telavi mobile app. We can transfer it to a Microsoft Teams. We can transfer it to an IP phone. And we can also transfer it to any web browser. So employees who are at home, whether they have a laptop or a desktop, they can continue to operate and operate their business that way. So Telavi also offers more than just simple voice routing. So from transferring calls, we also do team messaging. We also do video conferencing and collaboration. So definitely, companies are, with this kind of a platform, they are able to continue operating and provide their service to their customers. So mahirap kasi nowadays, parang wala ng assurance. You don't know when companies will be able to send their employees back to work. Even with the vaccine, it seems like most of us will be continuing to work remotely or work from home. And it seems like this will be the case for the next year or two, no? Yeah, so I think nowadays with companies, if they were to receive a landline call, chances are they would have to take a message and ask their employees to call the customer back. So this could potentially happen in 30 minutes, 1 hour, or it might actually never happen. It means you lose on that opportunity. Wala na eh. Parang for whatever reason, hindi natin natatawagan ng customer.
So, if there is one core message, for example, let's say Apple talks about innovation, unleashing people's potential, or the motto of Nike, which we all know, just do it. What would be the core message of Telavi Cloud?
For a core message, I think for Telavi's core message, it should be Telavi Cloud is a must-have, non-negotiable business communication platform that can provide companies or enable them to drive their business anywhere in the world. So Telavi Cloud enables businesses to be truly mobile.
Wow. Sir Erwin, again, thank you so much. It's been a joy and privilege. Thank you, and I hope to see you again.
Thank you, Jayson, and have a nice day.